I believe he's being targeted.
You believe he's being targeted?
Yeah. I believe, somebody, has the power to pull the trigger to make, this stuff, this domino effect happen.
Ice Cube was saying if you read through the line what Ice Cube was saying, he was saying that all us or all of them has done the same Diddy been doing. And because he pissed somebody off, they targeted him. They're gonna make an example out of him. Whatever you do at this point in time, you understand, we gonna crush everything that you got to show the other people behind him, you don't come out and speak up or speak out on us. What Ice Cube was saying, brother, was that it ain't only Diddy. Picked on, targeted, that means there's other people that they know, but they just not gonna say anything about it.
That's why the game is twisted.
Imagine you found out Jay-Z never wrote his you would look at him so different.
You look at everybody different when you find out that. Yeah, in hip hop, it's like you're an MC or you're a vocalist. Which one?
The rapper Jay-Z has been accused in a civil lawsuit of 13-year-old alongside Sean Diddy Combs at a party in the year 2000.
This is the news that we brought you earlier in the week in our special episode that US rapper Jay-Z, real name Sean Carter, has been mentioned in a US civil suit that alleges that he, alongside Sean Diddy Combs, drugged and a 13-year-old girl after the VMAs in 2000.
It was last March 2024 when the feds, in LA, in Miami, and New York, they enacted these raids on Diddy's home, and it's been nonstop coverage since then. And finally, we know he was obviously arrested in late 2024. And
Sean Diddy Combs and Sean Jay-Z Carter are two of the most famous names in hip-hop history. Both men have commanded immense power over music, fashion, society, and business. But now, Diddy is in a lot of legal trouble, and those close to him say he could be ready to share shocking facts about some of his closest friends. Ice Cube is one of the most shocking people to speak out about this. Ice Cube is known for being straightforward and having a lot of expertise in the music business. He has made a very public comment that is making waves in the entertainment world. What does it mean? Who is at risk of being exposed? And might Diddy's collapse bring Jay-Z down too? Let's take a closer look at this and not just the headlines. To properly comprehend what's occurring, we have to begin with Diddy's present condition. The mogul, who was previously thought to be one of hip-hop's untouchable titans, is now in the middle of a legal storm. After a grand jury indictment, Diddy was detained in Manhattan. The accusations he faces are severe and wide-ranging, encompassing misbehavior, manipulation, and systematic wrongdoing over a lengthy time.
But he is not charged with being mean. He is not charged with being a jerk. He's charged with running a racketeering enterprise. And though there was violence that you were going to hear about, you already have, that violence is not part of any RICO. That violence is not connected to trafficking, and that violence is not There was a name in criminal law for the violence we will hear about and we will see at this trial. It is called domestic violence. It is called Domestic violence is a very serious matter. I want to say that now. It is a bad, illegal problem, and it is something that the law addresses. We take full responsibility that there was domestic violence in this case. Domestic violence is not trafficking. I want to say it again. Domestic violence is not trafficking. Had he been charged with domestic violence, had he been charged with assault, we would not be here right now. We would not be sitting through an 8-week trial. However, he has been charged with different crimes. Trafficking, racketeering. These are federal crimes with their different statutes. They charge different elements, and he simply is not guilty of those crimes.
During this trial, you're going to hear about 20 years of the defendant's crimes. But he didn't do it alone. He had an inner circle of bodyguards and high-ranking employees who helped him commit crimes and helped him cover them up. Kidnapping, arson, drugs, crimes, bribery, and obstruction. These are just some of the crimes that the defendant and his inner circle committed again and again. You are going to hear about all of them during this trial. Let's start now with just one night. The defendant was on the hunt for his girlfriend, a woman named Cassie. For years, the defendant physically abused Cassie. He also exploited her, forcing her to have male escorts while he watched and recorded it. But that night, the defendant learned he had lost control of Cassie. He found out Cassie was seeing another man. Furious, he set out to find Cassie and that other man, but he couldn't do it by himself. So he took his gun and he took his bodyguard, one of his most loyal lieutenants, to wake up one of the defendant's employees in the middle of the night. The defendant yelled that he was going to kill the man Cassie was with. He demanded that his employee take him to that man's home. The defendant forced the employee out of her apartment and into an SUV. They drove to the house. The defendant and his bodyguard broke in, but no one was there. The defendant did give up. He kept looking for Cassie. When he finally found her, he did what he had done countless times before. He beat her brutally, kicking her in the back and flinging her around like a rag doll. All of that violence wasn't enough, though. The defendant had to make sure he had control over Cassie once again. So he threatened her. The defendant told Cassie that if she defied him again, he would publicly release the videos of her having sex with male escorts that he kept as blackmail. Souvenirs of the most humiliating nights of her life. This was just one night in the defendant's 2 decades of crime. In one night, he and his lieutenant kidnapped an employee, broke into a man's house, and the defendant beat and blackmailed his girlfriend. And as you will learn, this was just the tip of the iceberg. These are not the only crimes the defendant committed. That's not the only time he kidnapped someone, and Cassie is not the only woman he beat or exploited. For 20 years, the defendant, with the help of his trusted inner circle, committed crime after crime. That's why we're here today. That's what this case is about. 20 years of crime is a lot to cover. So first, I'm going to walk you through what evidence in this case will show.
It is a very disturbing incident of physical violence. But what it is it actually matches up almost word for word with the complaint that was filed by Cassandra Ventura. I want to bring in right now Tracy Walder, former CIA and FBI agent, frequent contributor here on Sidebar, and also national security contributor here on News Nation. Tracy, your immediate reaction to seeing this, because it is absolutely gut-wrenching and incredibly disturbing to see, in my opinion. What do you think?
I could not agree with you more. It was shocking, quite frankly. It's not that I ever dismissed any of Miss Ventura's claims. I always have believed her and her claims. I suspect this video was probably used in terms of her bringing up that initial case. I'm also shocked, though, that there's not additional criminal charges as well. This is extremely severe, goes on for such a period of time, and she was clearly very much injured. It is just appalling to watch.
Although the specific nature of the charges is still surfacing, what we do know is that at least 8 civil cases have been brought against him within just the past year. These lawsuits come from different angles and present a picture of a guy who may have been leading a high-stakes game behind the scenes. But it's not just about particular situations. What's disturbing is the accumulation, the sheer amount of charges. When many reports start coinciding in subject and date, they begin to raise bigger issues about how far this alleged conduct extends and who else could be linked. The court of public opinion is already bustling. But now, the judicial system is speaking with subpoenas and search warrants. Amid all this craziness, Ice Cube has came up with a very clear and determined statement. At a recent performance in Las Vegas, Cube addressed the rumbling accusations surrounding Diddy's notorious parties. Speaking straight to his fans, he revealed that neither he nor his longtime collaborator, WC, had ever attended any of Diddy's renowned meetings.
Almost 40 years rocking the mic.
You still killing it, goddamn.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, me and Dub C ain't never been to a Diddy party, mother. You ain't gotta worry about us on them mother. tapes. Now check this out. Anybody in here that has, I got one thing to say to your. What you? I got one thing to say to your. If you've ever been to one of those parties, what the you got to say? Boy or girl, you better check yourself or you wreck yourself.
Diddy, you're hearing Diddy everywhere. Okay.
Yeah.
So, did you ever have any kind of run-in with Diddy? Did you ever do anything with Diddy? Any projects you worked on with him?
He produced a few records, or had his producers do a few records on my War and Peace album, the Peace Disc. Yeah.
How was he to work with?
It was cool. You know, he gave us great music. We flew out to New York, and I was mainly in the studio with the producer. You know, he had a stable of producers, so I was in the studio with his stable of producers, and I think we did some great music. And you know, I really kind of, lost contact with him and really stopped, dealing with Puffy around 94.
Yeah. Any specific reason?
Yeah, I mean, they was doing their thing, I was doing mine. And, I'm not the partying type. You know what I mean? I ain't never been to a Diddy party. I ain't never really wanted to go. But I don't go to a lot of people parties. That just ain't what I'm in it for. You've been to one, you've been to them all.
Are you surprised at what things are coming out with Diddy at all? Or you're like, you have no idea, it's none of my business, you'll live longer? Is that kind of like the mindset?
I'm surprised. How could you be surprised with anything that happens in hip-hop? Hip-hop is the Wild West, so you're going to have the good, you're going to have the bad, you're going to have the ugly.
You think he's being targeted, or some of the stuff he's got, there's credibility on what they're coming after him with the tapes and the feds and raiding his Miami home, his LA home?
I believe he's being targeted.
You believe he's being targeted?
Yeah. I believe, somebody, has the power to pull the trigger to make, this stuff, this domino effect happen.
Okay. All right. So you think he's being targeted. So you don't think, Suge said, you can say what you want about Diddy, but Diddy didn't learn to like young boys. He learned it from a man named Clive Davis. He threw Clive Davis in there. It doesn't sound like you're part of that camp. You're part of the camp that you think he's being targeted.
I don't know enough to even be able to be specific on any of this stuff. It's just all speculation. I just know he was cool up until a point, and then this stuff started happening. So I believe somebody, like I said, yo, he's our new guy. We on this year or whatever.
We are learning that Jay-Z is accused of a 13-year-old girl. That is new in the Diddy lawsuit, and the new allegations are just coming out this evening. Jay-Z is being accused of a minor along with Diddy at a MTV VMAs after party back in 2000, according to documents obtained by Fox News Digital tonight. The lawsuit, which was initially filed back in October, was refiled tonight in New York by an anonymous accuser claiming Jay-Z, whose full name is Sean Carter, while Combs and Celebrity B watched. So that other celebrity was not named.
after the news broke, Jay-Z's lawyer filed a motion on Tuesday. They've asked to deny the plaintiff's request to proceed anonymously. They've also asked for the case to be dealt with as quickly as possible because of the highly sensitive nature of the matter and because of the media interest it's generated. The filed motion from Jay-Z's lawyer Alex Spiro also says, for the avoidance of doubt, Mr. Carter is entirely innocent. This is a shakedown. He is not mentioned, referenced, or implicated in any way in the criminal investigation of Mr. Combs. He is neither a target nor a person of interest in that investigation. Cheyenne, I'll start with you. Sort of where were you and how did you react when you heard the new allegations?
I was actually coming out of a theater show, and so my phone just was filled with messages trying to work out what happened, and then Jay-Z's statement dropped, and so it was kind of all hands on deck on a Sunday night, which has been kind of the case for some of these updated filings. The news breaks at night, and the next morning it's just unfolding as things continue.
I was in the bed eating chicken wings, and they were delicious, and all of a sudden my phone just started text messages and messages from TikTok, and so I started doing my own research, and I had grease all over my fingers typing on the iPad, and I was just like, well, here we go. It's about to blow up.
I mean, this is kind of what people have been waiting for. When Tony Busby came out at the beginning of October and he promised to name other people co-conspirators, the facilitators of foul play, he called them. Was that kind of what you were seeing online, just comments of, oh, okay, it's beginning?
I think, since Diddy was arrested and the idea of his parties, people have been clamoring for additional names, other celebrities to now be pulled into that. And Jay-Z is one of the biggest celebrities so far it's pulled into it. So yeah, people were kind of waiting for a moment like this.
And if you listen to his lawyers, some of the things that they said that were pretty interesting is he's not a target, he's not a probe or things of this at the criminal investigation, because if he was a target, he would have received a target letter from the federal authorities saying, you come and sit down and talk to us. So his lawyer said, without saying, the federal government on the RICO allegations have never talked to Jay-Z. That's basically him saying, I already know nobody's looking at me.
That comment, while apparently basic, carried considerable weight in the present climate, where reputations may be damaged by mere connection. Cube's statement wasn't just about denying attendance. It was about distancing himself from the poisonous cloud presently encircling Diddy's reputation. He pushed this point further, making it clear that fans won't have to fear about seeing him participate in any incriminating records or video. This is particularly significant considering the bombshell reports alleging that several high-profile persons may have been captured on video performing dubious actions. Whether such materials exist, Ice Cube made it quite clear he has no links to that world.
Hey man, the first thing I want to ask you about is Ice Cube. He came out with a comment that went viral. God. He said that he feel like Diddy is being targeted. How you feel about him saying that?
My man, Ice Cube was saying what, if you read through the line what Ice Cube was saying, he was saying that all us or all of them has done the same Diddy been doing. And because he pissed somebody off, they targeted him. They're gonna make an example out of him. Whatever you do at this point in time, you understand, we gonna crush everything that you got to show the other people behind him. You don't come out and speak up or speak out on us. What Ice Cube was saying, brother, was that it ain't only Diddy. Picked on, targeted. That means there's other people that they know, but they just not gonna say anything about it. You understand? They're not gonna use them right now and put them up on a pedestal and knock them down like they doing Diddy. If Diddy hadn't done anything, if Diddy wasn't involved in anything, ain't nothing they could do to you. They could come at you, but if you got enough money like he had enough money, you understand? Whatever they say, the lies don't stand, bro. The truth stand. So Ice Cube saying that, I was a little disappointed. But what he was actually letting y'all know was this. it ain't only Diddy. There's other people. But because he came out and called those people racist, because he came out and tried to put a lawsuit against them, they gonna show him you don't bite the hand that feeds you. That's what that was all about. I met Ice Cube before when Puff was doing a video with Fabulous in California on the beach. Ice Cube, within walking distance, was doing a beauty shop at this it was barbershop at this place. I guess it was a barbershop right there next to the beach or whatever. He was shooting it there. So Kobe was there, Fabulous, Puff, and then we went over to the set of barbershop. I met him before, a good brother, man. But all he was saying in a slick way was that it ain't only Puff. Puff ain't the only one that's doing this. He's just being targeted about what he has said and what he did, bro.
Yeah, I know Cube, he getting a lot of backlash right now for that comment.
Yeah, he ain't the only one.
Prosecutors come forward and said that Jay-Z is pretty much in between a rock and a hard place. Jay-Z will be either forced to testify or he won't be subpoenaed to testify because he's being charged as a part of this RICO case with Diddy. So this is going to be an interesting situation to see how this plays out. I have a bunch of different pieces of information on this. I want to get into what Nicki Minaj has been saying too. She just actually, if you don't know, we can kind of break this news live. Nicki Minaj has just come out, put out some more statements about Jay-Z and Diddy. So we got to talk about that. You know, what she had to say about the situation. I'm going to pull up Diddy's indictment, the entire document, the 14-page indictment. And we're going to talk about this. Crazy situation, man. Crazy situation. We're going to see how this plays out for Jay. If you guys remember earlier this summer, 50 had just been going crazy, posting content and memes and different things about Diddy, making fun of him. He actually just sold his documentary. I think he just sold his Diddy documentary to Netflix. They said he's been working on it for 10 years. So I want to talk about the situation with 50 and what he was saying prior to about Jay-Z being involved with the Diddy situation. This is an article about Diddy's situation. It says P. Diddy's rich and powerful friends such as Jay-Z could be forced to testify. That's what experts claim. That's the headline. And then they just kind of go into a synopsis and a summary of everything that Diddy has been charged with, what's going on with him, why it's going on with him. And, you know, I don't feel the need to reiterate all that. We already know what that is. I don't think we need to go back into the details of that yet. We're going to pull up his indictment, the 14-page indictment anyway. So this is what a prosecutor said. Let me see. Here we go. The article says, the former prosecutor Niyama Ramani explained to the U.S. Sun how those in Diddy's circle could be affected by any trial on the horizon. This is the quote that the prosecutor gave. Jay-Z and other celebrities can be subpoenaed, but they will almost certainly assert their Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination and refuse to testify. Now, this prosecutor is saying that Jay-Z and, you know, they named Kim Kardashian, Kanye West, Leonardo DiCaprio, Pharrell, Snoop Dogg. They named these people in the article. She said that he could, or that if they're subpoenaed, they're probably gonna, you know, plead the fifth in order to avoid self-incrimination. Now, why that's important? Because if you didn't do anything wrong, why would you feel the need to worry about being incriminated? If you had nothing to do with nothing, if you legit, now there is a point, or there's a part of this where people don't want to testify against Diddy because of the business relationships that they've had with him. But in my opinion, you know, I think pleading the fifth publicly is going to look just as bad as anything else.
In an industry where many chose quiet, his outspoken position seems like a line in the sand. It indicates to fans and other artists alike that when the truth begins surface, certain reputations will stand, while others may fall under the weight of disclosure. Now, here's where things become even more difficult. With Diddy apparently under pressure to assist with federal authorities, speculations have circulated that he may be prepared to disclose information about others, possibly including Jay-Z. According to Derek Parker, the former NYPD investigator, commonly known as the hip-hop cop, Diddy may be negotiating a deal to become what is known in legal circles as king for a day. This agreement would enable him to talk freely or revealing facts to prosecutors in return for leniency or lower punishment. If accurate, this might have huge repercussions. Parker notably stated that Diddy and Jay-Z were quite tight throughout the years, attending the same events, operating in the same business circles, and having similar acquaintances.
How do you feel about people constantly trying to drag Jay-Z into this Diddy situation when I haven't really seen like one piece of evidence that ties him to this at all?
Well, I would say this. It's kind of funny to me, man, is that Diddy used to hate Jay-Z. He hated Jay-Z enough when he was trying to get Ja Rule to go at Jay-Z. This is back in the early 2000s. And one day, Asler, Kushner, Diddy, and myself went to a Nets game and we met Jay-Z. I've never been a Jay-Z fan, you know, like some of his music, the whole 9 yards. But when we went over to the, I think that was Prudential Center in Newark, and him and Puff met up, it was strange to me. Because I remember what Puff was trying to do. And then both of them, they was talking about something amongst each other, amongst all of us, and laughing and joking with each other. Then over the years, I see them giving garden parties. You understand what I'm saying? You could tell that the people in power had gave that reign to Diddy, and Jay was next in line. So to separate him, when in fact they may be two of the same, but because Jay-Z is low-key, that low-key sneaky, and Diddy is, and was, rambunctious, just out with it, it don't mean that they not two of the same. One just a little quiet with his.
What happened at the basketball game? When they ran into, you guys ran into Jay-Z?
They were just talking. They was talking amongst each other about their little white girls. They little skinny white girls.
And I mean, did Diddy always say negative things about Jay around you?
The time he was trying to get Ja Rule to go at Jay, yeah. He was. They worked it out.
Was there a reason behind it?
Now, I don't know what kind of statement, and I can't say, I wish I could say half a homo, but I know I can't say it. But I don't know what kind of half a homo that is. And you trying to say that you're not close to somebody. You coming on stage, patting them on their ass, and then you making a broad statement to the public, can't nobody call me Sean but Sean Carter. And I heard Jay-Z said the same thing about them. But they were so close that they had matching white girls together. Because when they used to see each other, they used to say, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? He'd be like, yo, how your skinny white girl doing? So, I guess that's a certain type of closeness.
I ain't know anything about that, man. I ain't know about, Jay touching his, ass. So I gotta go see the video. I ain't hear about that.
Come on, man. Everybody's seen that. 50 even pointed it out. Excuse me. when they was in ATL on stage. Remember when 50 bum rushed the stage with them?
Yeah, I think I recall that.
When Puff came on stage, first thing he did was pat Jay-Z on that. But I forgot. That's your favorite rapper.
Hey, him and Pocket's 1A, 1B. But what's your issue with Jay, man? I didn't know you had an issue with him.
I'm never a fan of somebody that I was gonna knock out. And then we was at the, it was me, him, Ashley Kushner, Puff and them. We was all at the Nets game together, and he didn't even remember none of it. And I don't expect him to remember, but I remembered. You understand? And he told Puff, he said, yo, Puff, yo, I heard about that Gene right there. That Gene got a mean left. Oh, he said, that Gene a knock a out. Then he gonna come up to me and say, man, you look like, man, you a tear ass up. And I said to himself, I said, yo, no Diddy. Pause, whatever. I said, he don't even remember. I was about to knock him the F out. He didn't even remember. He said to me to Laura. But that's how these guys are, man. They'll cause situations and cause problems, and then they'll forget what they done because they on a whole nother atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? A lot of shit that he did, you gotta understand, you know, like now he'll say that they're kids because he's raising kids of his own. You understand? But how would you like it that if Blue Ivory, 15, 16 years old, 17, 18 years old, dating a nigga in his early 30s. You're not gonna go for that. No matter what she came through in Hollywood. But you gotta understand, guys who was around there, we didn't know Jay-Z them ages. We didn't know these cats' age. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't having no beards and nothing like that. They was wearing low cuts. You understand? Clean face. I would have never believed when Jay was coming around the block, scooping up the young girls and stuff like that he was 30 years old.
While none of the charges against Jay-Z have been substantiated or validated, the mere idea of his being named in an official position has sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. And it's not just Jay-Z. The issue is larger. If pushed hard enough, Diddy might divulge names, dates, and tales that bring down cornerstones of the business. This isn't conjecture anymore. It's a very real possibility based on legal precedents and investigation approach. The hip-hop business has long been considered as a war for power, influence, and survival. Ice Cube famously nicknamed it the Wild West, and for good reason. For decades, performers have risen and fallen not simply based on skill, but on their friendships, access to money, and what they were prepared to overlook or engage in. Along the way, Diddy and Jay-Z weren't simply musicians. They were empire builders. From apparel lines and vodka brands to streaming platforms and real estate transactions, these two molded pop culture in the boardroom as much as they did in the studio.
So who's next? Y'all don't see the lineup? Yeah, we see the lineup. I'm just waiting to see who's next.
Jay-Z is setting Diddy up. Why is everyone having such a hard time? He ain't doing shit. He lined up D. Haven, stole his life and identity. He lined up Big L, stole his life and identity. He lined up Dame Dash, stole his life, identity, and took his love. Lined up R. Kelly. He wants to be the one.
What we do know is that two properties associated with him, we saw the feds descend on those properties. We saw on aerial footage, federal agents both here in the Los Angeles area as well as in Miami at those residences. Now, the Department of Homeland Security, their what's called HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, gave CNN a statement. I'll read you part of that when asked about what this activity is. They say that earlier today, HSI New York executed law enforcement actions as part of an ongoing investigation with assistance from HSI Los Angeles, HSI Miami, and our local law enforcement partners. That is it, confirming that they are conducting what they're deeming law enforcement action, which could indicate search warrants being conducted there, could indicate arrests being conducted. We just don't know at this hour specifically what that law enforcement action is. It is worth pointing out, though, that Combs himself obviously has faced significant legal woes in recent months. I'll give you just the highlights of what actually occurred. In November, he was sued for abuse by a former partner. That lawsuit was then settled very quickly. But in December, he faced in a complaint filed in the Southern District of New York. The suit was brought by a woman referred to as Jane Doe, who said that she was 17 at the time when these allegations took place back in 2003. He was accused of trafficking and gang rape. Other allegations also in that suit, naming 2 of his associates. Of course, Combs denied any wrongdoing there. And then just last month, a former employee of Combs filed a suit also in the state of New York, accusing him of sexual assault, harassment, and, quote, grooming. That former employee stated that he had worked for Combs between 2022 and 2023. Among those allegations, this former employee, a male employee, said that Combs did not compensate him for his music production work and forced him to procure and interact with workers, threatened him with serving alcoholic beverages laced with drugs to guests at parties at Combs' home. And then Combs' son, Justin Combs, was also accused of soliciting and underage girls at his father's homes. Again, the Combs have denied any wrongdoing, but just a series of allegations that we've seen taking place. Final point, Wolf, I'll note, is that while we don't know the specific allegations or why the feds are at these residences, it is worth pointing out the agency that is conducting this law enforcement activity. It's not the FBI, it's not the DEA or the ATF. This is HSI, Homeland Security Investigations. For those unfamiliar, this is an agency that has long been the forefront, specifically at human trafficking investigations.
I want you to open that up because I want you to be able to make the face that you really want to make. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead, open it now. Go ahead, open it now. You ain't gotta wait. Ain't nobody gonna take nothing from you. Oh no, he didn't. No, he did.
Thank you. No, you ain't know what you got. Count that thing.
Go ahead. Count up. Let me hold your envelope.
You gotta always pay your taxes.
Huh? Oh no, he didn't do that. I'm gonna hand him them little 520s. He's gonna be like, nah, big dog. Uncle Diddy, he gonna hey.
You a legend already. Diddy give you some facts.
Yeah, you know.
$1,000.
I just counted
it.
But that level of achievement generally comes with layers of concealment. Business dealings can entail handshake agreements. Loyalty is sometimes bought. And once you reach those high-stakes chambers, the rules of the game alter if Diddy's empire is truly collapsing. It's hardly unusual that there would be others seeking to discreetly back away, cut ties, or get ahead of the legal tidal wave. This moment may be exposing who played by the rules and who didn't. To understand how long this crisis has been brewing, we need to examine certain assertions from years ago. One of the more explosive came from television personality Wendy Williams. She stated that she had seen video of Jay-Z and Diddy in what she characterized as very inappropriate circumstances. According to her, she even informed law enforcement. But owing to different obstacles, nothing concrete ever developed. The names couldn't be confirmed, and the topic quietly faded from public attention.
As the mother of a now 16-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Who I met backstage,
He did?
He's a great young man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You represent a lot.
I didn't think I would ever see a video like this.
I heard abuse whispers. So
Really?
I was thinking, yeah.
I heard gay. I'd never heard porn. I always heard gay.
Gay nonstop. And that was enough. People were like...
That's because of Wendy Williams.
What'd you say?
Oh, that was Wendy. Wendy's whole thing was Diddy was gay since the 90s.
She knew, dog.
No, Wendy was
We
throwing
owe
that
Wendy
out
an
there.
apology.
That's why Wendy got fired from Hot 97. Wendy got fired from Hot 97 by Diddy because that's when Bad Boy was smoking hot.
Wow.
And yeah, she got fired for putting that out there. Like,
do you think that Diddy held on to the gay rumors so that people didn't know what he really was?
Yeah.
Ooh. Because that's the perfect smokescreen. You'd rather people think you're gay than beat women.
And by the way, here's the wild thing. We still don't know what Diddy is.
I mean, we
That's
know
the thing.
little.
We know little. We know bits and pieces.
Yeah.
This be deeper than rap. We don't know. Like this might be a whole rabbit hole. You might be like, oh,
seeing this video.
That's what I was trying to get at this whole time.
Okay,
that is the wildest story that came out of a lot of this, and nobody gives a.
What story?
Pull it up, Mark. I don't even want to repeat it. Pull it up. That was so crazy. Type in his name and Diddy.
But this is why I believe all the Cassie allegations because of this video. Because she describes this.
Yeah,
what happened
word
to
for
the
word.
T.
Oh,
So
yeah,
now it's like I believe everything she said.
Yeah, 1000%.
I'm not.
This is horrifying.
Also Diddy's getting that Diddy excuse, like how he couldn't mention Cassie's name in the apology. There's no rule you can't apologize.
What happened? Oh, I'm not laughing at that.
No,
I'm laughing at that Marcus.
Yeah, also, you called her a liar like 3 days ago.
Yeah, get the
he was looking after for a quick buck. You're a fuck. And
then-
maybe it's more triggering for me because whatever, but like that.
Why is it more triggering for you? What
I
happened?
grew up in a house, and I didn't see that ever, but I grew up in a house where there was. It was like, you watch that, and this is way more extreme than anything I saw. Like, she's trying to sneak out of the. He's dragging her by the hair. Not gonna pimp my struggle. I didn't see anything like that, but watching that is like, yo, forever.
Did you ever try to intervene?
Yeah, I did one time.
You got your ass kicked?
No, we didn't do anything. I just stood in his way and I didn't say a word. I didn't even look at him, which I'm kind of like, I just got in his way and I remember thinking, if this goes down, this goes down.
Yeah.
That's all I remember.
I remember I was reading Will Smith's book and he always said he felt bad because he never intervened. So that was like, he said he felt like a coward.
Yeah.
You know, he never intervened, watching his mother go to his father. But I think he said his brother did. So a lot of that just makes you kind of think about everything that happened, everything that transpired with the slap and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like after why
I'm gonna stand up for myself finally.
So we had to leave Atlanta and go to North Carolina for a show. You understand? And it was him, this rapper, Sarah, and this other girl. We all got on a G5 jet. And we flew to G4 jet, and we flew to North Carolina. So later on that, I think that afternoon, same day, this rapper and him, they all in the room together. You know, it's Sarah, the girl, Puff, and this dude, this rapper. So I'm hearing at the door and stuff like that, like, yeah, so then next thing you know, somebody rang the doorbell. We had the presidential suite where we was at. So I opened the door and the dude said, yo, I'm here for my cousin. I said, who your cousin? And he said, Ja Rule. I said, well, he busy right now. He said, he busy doing what? I said, he with Puff, they're in the room, they busy, they don't want to be bothered. He said, well, I'm going in there. I said, bruh, you ain't going in there because he told me they don't want nobody to be bothering them. He was like, yo, I don't care, man. I'm going in there. That bull like that. I said, yo, bro, Jesus Christ had to come down here and take the air out of my body before you get in that room right there. Watch. He tried to bum rush me. I grabbed it and threw him against the piano. When I threw him into the piano, Puff and Ja Rule runs out the room. Puff got his towel, Ja grabbing his towel, but they butt the naked. And so then Ja was like, yo, what's going on? Yo, G, that's my cousin. He know me well, you know, and Puff was like, yo, G, what happened? I said, he tried to get in the room. I told him he couldn't get in the room. And he was like, Puff looked at Ja. He said, yo, Ja said, you ain't want to go in that room because there's a lot of freaking going on. So I was like, oh, he said it was a lot of freaking going on. So that was basically that story, man. You know what I'm saying? They went back in the room, dude felt a certain kind of way, and he left out. So I seen them at the concert the next day, and they tried to, you know, form up against me. But my man Frank was like, I told my man Frank, I was like, yo, Frank, put yourself in that position. Somebody trying to get in the room, and Ja told you don't let nobody get in the room. What would you do? Now, y'all can do whatever y'all want to do, man, but you know I ain't taking no losses.
Let's return to Derek Parker's thoughts. His expertise exploring the inner workings of the hip-hop business spans decades, and when he speaks, people listen. According to him, Diddy is now trapped. The gravity of the claims, along with the number of witnesses apparently coming forward, leaves him with few alternatives. Parker feels that Diddy may sell important information in return for a better contract. The legal industry calls this flipping, and in high-profile cases, it may totally shift the path of a trial. Parker also suggested that Jay-Z is likely building a legal team behind the scenes. That says volumes. Publicly, Jay-Z has kept mute, but if preparations are being made in the background, it implies a knowledge that things may escalate. Beyoncé, famed for her discretion, is certainly feeling the pressure as well. The power couple has crafted a polished, controlled image. Any divergence from that story might upset their popular status. Jay-Z's silence is louder than words. At a time when many are rushing to make remarks, deny participation, or provide support, his team has been remarkably quiet. No tweets, no press releases, no interviews. This absence raises questions. Is it strategic? Is it fear? Or is it the quiet before the legal storm?
Rap and media mogul Jay-Z now accused of a 13-year-old girl in 2000 along with Sean Diddy Combs. Now, this lawsuit was originally filed back in October in the Southern District of New York, listing Diddy as the defendant. But it was just refiled today to include Jay-Z now, whose real name is Sean Carter. Of course, he's the husband of Beyoncé. The anonymous accuser alleging the assault after she was driven to an after party following the MTV Video Music Awards.
I gotta stop that because we'll twist that around, especially with the atmosphere, what it is right now. We not doing that. I'm known as being one of his former bodyguards. Let's call it that. All right?
Okay, former
That's
bodyguard.
what I'm known as. That's what I'm known as from the public, for being one of his former bodyguards. But it goes a lot deeper than that, you know what I'm saying? I was like a big unk to him back in the day when he was coming through our crew the same game. All right?
Okay, got you. Well, as I think everybody knows, man, Diddy has been indicted and is looking at a potential life sentence, or at least at very minimum, very, very long time, man. What was your first thoughts when you first seen the news?
Well, I knew it was coming, so I didn't have no general thoughts about it. I knew when he came back to New York and people were saying that he was around in New York in the streets, going to different places. I knew he was here to go to the turn himself into the feds.
Well, you know, a grand jury indicted him, which I think everybody knows it's pretty easy to get indicted with a grand jury, man. But they're accusing him of racketeering, trafficking by force, transportation to engage in prostitution, and they're calling it a commercial enterprise. Do you think that those are the accurate charges that they've been brought against him?
Well, they are the accurate charges because the feds made the charges. So they have to be accurate. But do I think that, are they just charges? Is it the same charge? Right. You know, is it the same charges that R. Kelly was looking at? Some of them. Is it the same charges that Vince McMahon should have been looking at? Some of them. So the charges are accurate, but to say that I'm versed in the fact that I know what the federal government is doing by charging them that, they just going by the letter of the federal law.
What we do know is that Jay-Z is no stranger to lawsuits. He's been in courtrooms over business dealings and contract disputes before, but this is different. This isn't about money or royalties. It's about possible connection with a guy whose world is falling in real time. If Diddy started naming names, Jay-Z could be obliged to retaliate, and in that circumstance, quiet will no longer be an option. There's a lesson here. Civilizations don't generally collapse overnight. They begin to shatter silently at first, then spectacularly. Right now, we may be experiencing the early stages of such a collapse. Diddy's difficulties are no longer confined. They're spilling into debates about people who were formerly thought untouchable. If his legal strategy involves identifying people to preserve himself, the effect will be tremendous. And it won't just be Diddy's legacy that gets rewritten. It will be a whole chapter of hip-hop history that surrounds him. This might be the industry's reckoning moment, as secret realities are brought to light and alliances built in darkness are destroyed in courtrooms.